Hey guys, welcome back to the Emlyn in the Mix show. Today we are checking out the Audiofuse 16RIG by Arturia. Now I know there's been a few videos done on this already on YouTube, but you're gonna get the ultimate feedback here of what I think about Audiofuse 16RIG. Forget all those other YouTubers, forget all those audio studio amazing musicians and so forth that talked about the Audiofuse 16RIG. You've come here because you want to know the real opinion. You want to get the real feedback on the Audiofuse 16RIG. That's because you're listening to, of course, Emlyn in the Mix. He's going to give you the real review. All jokes aside, I'm sure you're coming here to either get affirmation, is this actually worth getting, and should you get it for your studio? You've already watched maybe some other videos on that, or you don't know anything about it and you're just like, yo, Emlyn, what are you talking about? What is Audiofuse 16RIG by Arturia? Why are we talking about an audio interface? Now, you'll see why. Let's jump over to the other camera here. I have set up multi-camera action here for you guys. So I'm going to try and be a cameraman as well if you are watching us here. But of course, if you're listening, I'll do my best to explain. Yes, that thing right there. That's the Audiofuse 16RIG. Freaking awesome indeed. But before we get into that, I have to give a big shout out to our sponsor, of course, today. It is, of course, Native Instruments. Now, if you want to support the channel, I have an affiliate. Boy, do I have an affiliate link for you. This one is an absolute no-brainer. And this, of course, is a limited time because it's freaking ridiculous. It is the Native Instruments. This happens only once a year, I believe, from Native Instruments. They may never do it again. This might be the last one because of inflation, right? But this is the 9 for $99 deal. Now, if you're looking at my screen, you're like, Emlyn, it says $149. That's because, of course, I'm in Australia, so the price has to adjust for the Australian dollar. But it is 9 for $99 US. So if you're paying in US dollars, you get 9. What do you get? What are 9 what? It is 9 expansions, Native Instruments expansions. And to be honest, the Native Instruments expansions are freaking dope. Let me just quickly show you. We do have the Machine Studio. Again, I'm going to try and be a cameraman here as well. We've got the Machine Studio Plus. Sorry, not Machine Studio. I don't know why I keep calling it that. They should have called it the Machine Studio Plus. Anyway, we've got the Machine Plus. Here we go. We're going to get there. Hooked up right here. And let me just show you some of the expansions again. Sorry if you're watching. Don't get vertigo or get sick from my cameraing. But let's go through some of the expansions here. This is the Brazilian expansion. A Brazilian, I believe it is. So dope. Here we go. Let's have a listen to a few of these. All right, let's go through some more. Oh yeah. So this is just one of the many expansions. This is one of 9 that you could potentially have. Let's go to a different expansion here and check out Burnt Hues. Here we go. We're getting crazy twinkles on the Machine Plus here. I'll have a look there on the screen if you can see it. Very nice indeed. And there are a plethora of expansions, as you can see. I mean, we could be here all day going through different presets, dance music if you need it. Now the Machine Plus doesn't normally look like this if you're watching. It looks like a disco. It's just a frame rate thing. But there you go, Cavern, Floor, and some mad techno sort of beats. These expansions are no joke. Where was I going with that? Of course, I was talking about the expansions. 9 for $99 deal. Just wanted to give you a taste of some of the expansions, and you can get 9 of those. I literally, what did I show you? Like 3 of them. Check that deal out. Affiliate link is going to be down below. You're not only supporting yourself, supporting your back wallet, you of course are supporting this channel because I have to get by. I have to be able to keep growing this channel, and it's people like you who do yourself a favor, not only helping this channel, but helping yourself. All right, let's get back into the show and talking about Audiofuse Rig16, of course. Again, here it is again, looking absolutely sexy. And yeah, let's just quickly have a look at the overview here on the website and what it says about it. So studio full of synths. So if you're one of those people that has many synthesizers like I do, and you'll see on the show today, this thing is absolutely perfect for you. So explore a handful of scenarios where Audiofuse 16RIG won't simply excel at getting the job done. It'll make your creative life easier. And that is exactly what I've found since having the Audiofuse 16RIG in the studio. Now, big shout out to Arturia, because this unit is actually on loan. I do not own this unit at the moment. I do want to get one, but big shout out to Arturia for letting us check this out today. Sincerely, thank you so much. It's awesome that you've let us check this out. So essentially hooking up your synth rigs, you get mono and stereo, analog and digital keyboard and desktops united for the synth lovers, analog enthusiasts, hands-on beat makers and beyond. Audiofuse 16RIG is purpose-built to handle basically anything, hardware, software, you name it. 16RIG is purpose-built to connect up to 16 mono inputs out of the box and configure stereo channels for maximum polysynth width, hook it up to ADAT, compatible expanders, and even send CV signals to your modular setup from its DC coupled outputs. That's crazy. So if you have one of those, synth CV thingy-me-jiggles, it's escaped me now. I've forgotten the name. 500 series maybe? Those things where there's like a wall of synthesizers. Anyway, you can send CV, which is pretty insane. Different monitor mixes. Not everyone wants to hear the same thing. Now, just quickly, this thing is not only perfect in the studio, but what I'm about to read you back here is that it's also perfect for the live setup. I mean, this thing all around has so many good stuff going for it. So basically, Audiofuse 16RIG Q Mixer lets you create an entirely separate mix with different channels, levels, and panning that can be sent to a separate headphone or speaker output, and which is great for recording drums with guide tracks, keeping leads and backing vocals in harmony, or creating submixes for the on-the-fly processing. So yeah, not only is this great for like a set and forget scenario in the studio, like what I've done here, where you're going to see today, I've actually got several instruments connected, synthesizers mainly. But you could have, for example, in a live setup, you could have the Audiofuse 16RIG hooked up, having a Q mix going to your drummer's headphones, for example. Maybe he only wants to hear the guitar and maybe some other synth layers or something, or he wants certain parts down. Maybe he does want to hear the vocals, but down in the mix. You could totally do that with this unit. It has so much flexibility in terms of not only routing, but actually controlling the gain, pan, you name it, this can do it. Now, it does mention it has 16 mono inputs, but you can also link those to stereo inputs, and that's actually what I've done with my setup, is that I've essentially am using 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm using 8 mono inputs, but I've got them linked as stereo, and it's all very easy to do. You can do it off the interface. Absolutely freaking amazing. So connections ready for any session. You can do multiple effects chains. So you can customize every intersection between your inputs and your effects. Now, if we jump back over to my camera here, and again, of course, I'm sorry, I'm being a cameraman and I'm being a presenter. I'm being everything as usual. But you can see I've got this thing here, which is called the Microcosm. I have reviewed it on the channel before. If you do want to check that out, you can just search my channel, search for Microcosm. It's really cool effects, especially for hooking up to synthesizers or even guitars. Get some cool sort of granular, sort of glitchy effects with this unit here. But what I'm going to do, I haven't actually got it hooked up, unfortunately not on today's show, but you do have these inputs and outputs on the front panel here, which we'll talk about a bit later on in this show. And I'm essentially going to have it hooked up there, and yeah, I'll be able to just listen to the mix from this particular unit, or I can probably blend like a 50-50 mix with that effects unit, which is really, really cool. So yeah, they're touting basically you can map out multiple send return chains in visual detail and create custom effect chains with the help of Audiofuse Control Center Matrix, which I'll show you in the software as well. I'll get to that. You might want reverb and compression on your vocals, distortion and chorus on your synths, and a dubby sprinkling of delay tape 201 on your drum bus. No sweat here. AudioFuse has you covered. It's a smarter interface. Enjoy an easier recording and production workflow with an interface that opens up new creative pathways. AUDIOFUSE 16RIG is designed to proactively overcome any handles before you've even encountered them. And you can control your modular. We said that before. Save. Oh, this is a cool thing. So you can save configurations for instant recall. So essentially you can create templates of your setup and then you can save them and instantly recall them. So you might have a live setup or a live template that you want to have and you can instantly recall that. You might have a studio setup and you can instantly recall that. This is just like literally a dream come true, this thing. All your USB connections are here. So you got USB hub on the front, and we're going to talk about MIDI in a sec as well. It does have MIDI on board and high impedance headphone output jacks. It's really, really awesome. Here we go. So here's the MIDI. Let's talk about MIDI. Make MIDI play an even bigger role in your setup. So you got the traditional MIDI 5-pin DINs, DIN, send and receive MIDI information in connection with your DAW, your hardware synths and more, and utilize 2 MIDI through connections to split incoming signals. You got standalone operation, enjoy seamless MIDI communication with all of your compatible devices without needing a computer connection thanks to AUDIOFUSE 16's standalone operation. And USB class compliant. So now check this out. So if the 5-pin DIN isn't, or not enough, basically, you can hook up your MIDI devices via AudioFuse's 16RIG dedicated USB MIDI port, which is actually on the front. Let me just see if I can show you that again. Got to be the cameraman here. So it's that one there on the right. Has that little sort of square white outline around it. So yeah, you can hook up USB MIDI here. I might even be able to hub. We got a hub there, so you can have a hard drive. But what I'm saying is you might be able to put a USB hub there if you needed several sort of USB MIDI controllers or something like that. But that is just, dude, seriously, come on. MIDI CC mixer controls. So you got MIDI CC assignment for AUDIOFUSE 16RIG's main internal mixer controls. Let you adjust, sequence, and even modulate elements of your mix with your DAW or MIDI hardware. Well, this is gonna be a fun show. Really, I'm going to be literally cameramanning and presenting at the same time. Anyway, it is what it is. The show must go on. And last but not least, a perfect control center with AFCC, which is the AudioFuse Control Center software, which we're going to show you in a moment. But I did just want to quickly tell you why did I want one of these? So, I mean, who doesn't? If we talk about this thing and about what it can actually do, it's freaking really cool. But for me personally, so I had one of those patch bays, which are great still. I still got it here. I had a 48-point patch bay. But the thing that annoyed me in my setup is I've only got 4 or 2 stereo inputs on the Apollo X6. So I was constantly needing, and I've got, as you can see, or as I've spoken about, I've got 4 or 5 instruments here in the studio. So I was constantly needing to change those patch bays. And patch bays, while they can be good, over time they can, of course, have hardware, wear and tear because you're inputting and outputting, and you can get sort of dirty signals and that sort of thing. And that's why I was really happy to move over to this digital, or check it out, of course, because this isn't mine at this stage. Arturia, again, thankfully loaning this to let us check this out. And yeah, it just gives you so much more flexibility with your inputs and outputs, and then also being able to control. And I'm going to show you that as best as I can on today's show. But that's the reason why, if you're wondering. So essentially eliminating the patch bay and getting rid of it out of my life so I don't have to look at it anymore. So that was one of the main reasons, I would say. So now let's jump back over to the unit. So you have on-screen menu and access straight from here. I'm going to do my best to stay on the mic, but also show you this. So here you got this big dial, and yeah, I'm going off mic. Let's just see if we can get that mic so we're not going off mic. This is fun. All right, so you got this big dial here, and you can literally look at your input, your outputs. You can look at your mixer here. So like if you want to go in, and it's a bit tricky to see this dial here because it is dark. But if I press on that, we're going to get into our mixer section here. And then I can more or less, choose a channel that I want to go. So for example, I've got the Machine Studio hooked onto channels 11 and 12, I believe. This one here. So I can go in here and then I can go, for example, this is all done on the front panel of the unit. That's the thing you got to remember. I can go in here and I can essentially turn it up. Or you can turn it down. I mean, we're not even using the software at this point. You're just using the hardware. Like that in itself is amazing. And keep in mind that this is standalone. Like, that's really cool, right? So you don't need, I don't use this. That's the other thing, is I'm not using this as my main audio interface. And I think that that's an important part of this video, because if you are watching this, you're interested in getting one of these, you're probably wondering how it's actually connected in my studio. I'll just quickly, we'll show you right now. Mind all the cables, because of course we are multi-cameraing here, doing all sorts of stuff with our streaming software. But yeah, so there it is there, Audiofuse. And then if we look over to this side of my studio, you can see that's my main audio interface there. Get my hand through the Apollo X6, which is doing all the audio interface work. So I'm not actually using the Audiofuse 16RIG as my main audio interface. It is essentially a mixer, and its master output, we're going a bit fuzzy there, its master output is essentially going to the Apollo, which is my main hardware, which is just freaking amazing. Okay, so if you want to get back, you can't see the button here, but there is a back button here to take us back to the main menu there, and then we're back to this area here where we can just sort of scroll around. So get onto the right knob there. Headphones, settings, MIDI. You can even get into the MIDI settings here. Do what you need to do, settings. It's all available here. And then you've also got some quick recall buttons. And again, someone like Loopop's probably already gone in depth on this. I'm not going to do in-depth video on this video, but just quickly show you can get into these sections really quick. So if you want to go to audio inputs really quick, you can do that. If you want to go to the audio outputs, you can quickly do that. Or if you just want to check out in 1 and 2, because you could have essentially 2 microphones here. I've actually got these linked though at the moment. So if I actually play, so you can see it's stereo linked on 1 and 2. This is my Nautilus, but I'll probably take this off inputs 1 and 2. So if you have a look, there's the Nautilus. Again, cameraing and playing and talking, not my forte, but just really today, it's all about this. It's not about how well can I be an octopus and do all the things. But yeah, everything is accessible from the front. This is a really, really important feature about this, I believe. All right, excellent. So the other thing I wanted to quickly just say, and again, I'm not doing a deep dive on those options there, but I just wanted to quickly show you that this button here, if you press on this and the software isn't open, this acts as an initiator for the Audiofuse control center software. If I press that, I don't think it did. It worked. Actually, you didn't see it though, because you ain't on the screen with me there. I'm a little bit off camera here, but let's jump over to our software. If it's going to let us here, let me just press it again, see if that comes up for us. It more or less brings the software to the front. Don't know why that's not showing. Let me just see if I can pop that down. There we go. All right, Audiofuse control center software here. And yeah, so that little button does open that up, and it's a very handy, actually, believe it or not, just being able to press that button and pull the software up. Okay, so let's talk about the Audiofuse software. So here you can see it in its entirety. I play an instrument. Now I've gone a bit weird off camera because I was trying to camera over there. Yeah, so you can, at a glance, see everything you need to. Inputs 1 and 2. And I have multiple synthesizers hooked up. Let me check this out. We do have the Micro Freak from Arturia, which we can just play it back there. And then I've also got the Mini Loog XD up the top. So you can see all those inputs working. which is really good. You got a mixer section over here. So if you wanted to, for example, you wanted to mute one of the synthesizers, because I believe the Nautilus is controlling my Mini Frig. So check this out. You'll see two inputs going at once. So if I'm like, okay, cool, I just want to play the piano, you just mute the Mini Frig. Or maybe I just want to play with the Mini Frig. All very accessible. Or play them both at the same time. A better preset. I don't know if that works, but anyway, you get the idea. You can play multiple instruments. If you have MIDI sort of connected throughout, you can have all your instruments going at once, you know. Here we go, hook up a new expansion here with the Machine Plus, not Studio. I'm so used to saying Machine Studio, it's so weird. I guess it was my first machine, so it just sort of stuck with me. So yeah, the software is very intuitive. You've even got your Q mix here, so you can see what is being routed out. We haven't actually set the Q mix up. Then you got your matrix here as well. So this allows you to sort of, you know, work out where you're going to send your analog outputs, or where your monitor's going to. Is it going to main, or is it going to auxiliary? This is where you could do all of that jazz, get in the back end. Now, if I was to give any feedback about the software, I mean, just to me, just visually, it's a little bit underwhelming or something, or it's sort of, I feel, and this is just a personal thing, it may just be a personal preference, I feel that it just is lacking maybe like a bit of boldness or something. And maybe just for me personally, my eyes, I struggle to sort of see what's going on. But other than that, I mean, it does what it needs to do. It's a good workhorse and everything works really well. Like, I haven't had any problems with the software. It doesn't crash, doesn't do anything like that. So I've been really happy with it. Just, that's my only caveat, is that visually speaking, it isn't really that great. But yeah, that would be literally my only bad feedback, I think, that's going to be on the show today. So yeah, you can play multiple instruments at once, as I've shown you, you know, depending on what you have hooked up. I'm just going to be struggling going off camera trying to play for you guys there. So, you know, we could put a beat in here from the Nautilus. Maybe not this one. Maybe something that suits the sounds, like, oh yeah. Bit loud on the Nautilus, distorting. And we jump back over to this camera here. You can see it's all going off. It's a little bit hot. Bring the Nautilus down. Looks so weird, my arms just off the thing. But yeah, let me turn those drums off there. Multiple instruments at once, absolutely no freaking problem. We did check out, you have these front routing options. And again, I'm going to do my best to just try and show you here. It is a little bit dark over in that corner there, but let me just be a cameraman as well. Now, if you are listening to us, of course, come over and check the video after listening to the show today. So in the left there, you've got your outputs, two outputs, and then you got two inputs here, which are XLR and also 1/4-inch jack. And then you got this really cool, there's a little headphone input for 3 and 4 as well. So if you want to hook up like an OP1 or some small, like a little synth or something, or not even a synth, just something that has this headphone jack size output, you can do that there. So you got essentially you got 4 inputs on the front there and 2 on the back. Sorry, two outputs on the front as well. Now, just keep in mind, I'm not sure about the output, but the inputs get overridden, which I didn't realize until later. These, which are really dark here, actually, cannot really see them on the camera. But those 4 inputs will get the past tense of override, if you have them connected. So just keep that in mind. It was a little bit of a lesson learned for me, because I was like, why isn't anything working when I had something connected there? Actually, it was that effects unit I was trying to connect, which I haven't connected yet. And I noticed that, for example, the Nautilus wasn't working because I had the effects unit connected on 1 and 2. And yeah, just something to be mindful of is that it will override essentially the back inputs, but not a massive issue. And the other thing is on the front, you can control the master volume here as well with this guy here. Sorry, not this one. This is your selector. So this becomes your monitor sort of volume knob. So if you didn't have like a monitor control, like I've got this big beast, the SPL, which is really cool. I've had that for so long. It hasn't let me down. It still has a clean signal. Very impressive, actually. After all these years not being dirty or, getting messed up, it still just works really well. Shout out to SPL for creating an amazing piece of hardware. But this could be your sort of main volume control if you didn't have anything else. This could be your end all and be all, really. Like it sort of does everything. So it'd be monitor control, the mixer, and audio interface, MIDI control. Like I can see why many people would want to get this particular unit. You've also got your headphones here as well. Hope I'm not boring, guys, but your headphones there, high impedance headphones, so it's going to give you good sound. And if you have high quality headphones, you're going to get really good monitoring control. And then, of course, your hub, which I think we spoke about already, USB hub, so you could connect a hard drive. And lastly, this thing blows my mind, which I only really discovered recently, but it's the USB MIDI output here, so an input as well. So it's a send and receive, essentially, USB class compliant MIDI area, and it even says MIDI above that. I don't know if you can see that, but that little basically squared outlined USB is your MIDI. And anyway, guys, I think that's pretty much going to be sort of my thoughts on this particular beast of a system. Like I'm really very impressed with it. Just going to put that software down. Yeah, I'm really impressed. Again, we're just checking it out, but I hope to be able to keep this or be able to get one of these, because I'm very, very happy with this unit. It does exactly what I want it to do. Sort of what it does is, yeah, just eliminates that having to patch everything in, but then it gives you that extra flexibility of adjusting the sound, muting, soloing. It just really expands upon and just becomes, in my opinion, a mixer for your studio, and really answers answers the studio question is, how do I have everything connected at once? It pretty much does that. And I actually cannot believe no one else had put a product like this together yet. Like, this is pretty cool, because this sort of cuts a hole in its own area that no one had really filled this void of. This was something that was needed, but no one had sort of thought of it yet. People have desktop mixers and so forth, which is great, but this just sort of keeps it all neat. It's in a rack, 1U rack. It's all there, all absolutely fantastic. Anyway, guys, I'm going to have to leave it there, but let me know what you think of the AUDIOFUSE Rig16. While you're watching this video, are you still with me? Leave your comments down below of what you think about the AUDIOFUSE Rig16. Are you going to be getting one? Did this video help you make a decision? You probably already made your decision. Did you just need affirmation? Is this thing freaking amazing? Hopefully I've been able to help you answer those questions. And if I haven't, leave a comment down below if you have a question, or you want to know a bit more or get my thoughts on a particular thing about it. I'll do my best to try and answer you. And of course, like the video as well, because that definitely helps algorithms, helps other people find this video that might be interested in getting an AUDIOFUSE 16RIG, and yeah, or they just want to learn more about this particular piece of hardware, or they just want to learn more about audio technology, software and hardware, music technology, you name it. Emlyn in the mix, we cover it. Boom. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget our affiliate link, the 9 for 99 by Native Instruments. You definitely don't want to miss this. Again, it's time limited. I don't know if you hear this in more than 20 days time. I apologize, it will be over, but if you do listen to this show when it drops, you'll be one of the lucky ones. Click that link down below, get yourself this incredible deal and support the channel at the same time. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll be back next week. Until then, You know what to do. Stay creative in the studio. Peace out. Boom. Hey, thanks for listening to the Emlyn in the Mix podcast. Here you will find all the latest in music technology, software and hardware, interviews and more. Also, don't forget to check out the Emlyn in the Mix YouTube channel today. Till next time, keep it real.